I guess we'll get started. I just wanted to welcome all of you to this edition of the Williams Lecture Series. This is a member-exclusive lecture series that we offer quarterly, where our members get to interact with some of our experts and special guests. And this edition, we're going to be focusing on the work done by our Decorative Arts Trust intern, Loren Brown. And I just wanted to give a big thank you to our members before we get started. Your support means so much to us, and we're so pleased to offer this lecture series for you. And I also wanted to welcome our other special guests who are joining us because of New Orleans Museum Month. We're so happy that you can join us and get a little glimpse into what some of the member benefits are at THNOC. And if you're curious about what some of those other benefits are in addition to this William Lecture Series, I'll drop a link in the chat. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lydia Blackmore. She is the THNOC Decorative Arts Curator, and she's going to get us started. Enjoy.
Thank you, Lily, and thank you to everybody who has logged in with us today. I'm so happy to be here and sharing this end of a big project that we undertook this spring with my intern, Loren Brown. This internship was funded through a generous IDEAL grant from the Decorative Arts Trust. We are greatly appreciative to them for providing the funding to expand our opportunities for internships and studying understudied materials. Through the internship, Loren worked with me and with Chief Howard Miller of the Creole Wild West and the Mardi Gras Indian Council to better understand the preservation of Black masking Indian suits. So we're going to watch a video that Loren put together with all of the knowledge that she learned through her internship, and then we will open it up for questions and answers. Throughout the video or at any point in this program, if you have a question, feel free to type it into the chat or into the Q&A, and we'll get to them during the discussion period. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Loren Brown. I'm an intern here at the Historic New Orleans Collection, studying the preservation of Black masking Indian suits. I would like to thank the Decorative Art Trust for funding this internship through the IDEAL grant. Here we have Chief Howard Miller's 2018 red Mardi Gras Indian suit. Chief Miller spent a whole year working on this suit. He didn't finish the suit until Mardi Gras Day of 2018. This suit stands 10 feet tall and weighs up to 185 pounds. Chief Miller likes to sew his suits in the spirit connecting him to his ancestors. It is this spirit that will make his journey on Mardi Gras Day and other holidays through Carnival light, so he can carry the suit all day without being fatigued. Chief Miller is the chief of the Creole Wild West. The Creole Wild West is considered to be the oldest organization of Black masking Indians in New Orleans. When African Americans were once banned from participating in mainstream whites-only Mardi Gras crews and masking traditions, they developed their own masking culture and hosted celebrations in their own neighborhoods to commemorate not just Mardi Gras Day, but their entire carnival season. One of the oldest Black masking traditions is the Black masking Indians, also known as Mardi Gras Indians. Every carnival season, groups of Black masking Indians called tribes or gangs take to the street to meet up and reveal their newly completed hand-sewn suits. Completing a suit is regarded as a sacred rite of passage. This deep spiritual culture has numerous origins. According to common belief, local native tribes sheltered self-emancipated enslaved Africans, known as Maroons. Some believe the tradition arose from the cultural mixing of Native Americans and Africans, while others believe the Black masking traditions were used as cover-ups to conceal true African cultural practices. Whatever its origins, Black masking Indians are regarded as one of America's most unique cultural traditions. I have spent the last 4 months working with Chief to better understand this deep-rooted culture's history, as well as talking to other culture bearers to understand how they go about preserving their suits, in which ways I can incorporate their techniques into what I've learned at Historic New Orleans Collection and make a preservation guide that will work well for collectors, artists, and for other institutions. This suit is comprised of several different components. One of the main parts we have of this suit is the large apron that is depicting a picture of the Zulu tramps and is surrounded by albino dogs and alligators. All of this beadwork is hand-sewn by Chief Miller. The Zulu tramps are the originators of the Zulu crew, the parade that we have. They are actually parading down the street. This is a depiction of what they would look like on Mardi Gras morning. Here on the collar and the breastplate, we have jewelry that was made by a Native American jeweler. Chief Miller added this to his suit. The figures on the vest are comprised of Zulu warriors that you would find in Africa. So these are different from the Zulu warriors that you would find in New Orleans, the paraders. These are actual Zulu warriors from Africa. The sleeves are made up of brooch rhinestone cluster patches surrounded by satin and chicken gimp and marabou. The top of the suit is made up of the large crown. It is made from 3 large rhinestone brooch clusters, and it goes all the way back down the suit. It is covered in large plumes of ostrich feathers. Since most Black masking Indian suits are kept in homes or private collections, I would like to do an example on a practical way of storing a Black masking Indian suit. This is the child suit done by Chief Howard Miller of the Creole Wild West. I will be using this suit for my example today. The suit is made up of a dress, a vest, a collar, boots, and a crown. The first thing I would like to start with is the crown and the padding. To support the beadwork that goes all the way around the crown, you will need to pad it out with acid-free tissue paper. Once everything is padded out, the crown can be placed. Inside of the box in a way to where none of the feathers are being dented, and all of the rhinestones and beadwork is supported as well. This box is an archival box, acid-free as well. Here we have the boots. We would like to pad the boots out to where the inside is supported with acid-free tissue paper. This will help keep the shape of the boots. The collar can be placed on top of the boots once stored in a box, as long as it's padded and layered with acid-free paper. When it comes to the dress and the jacket, the main thing we will need is a padded out hanger. This will help support the dress and keep stress off of key parts. No plastic hangers or wire hangers. It must be padded out to support the dress, as well as for the vest. A padded hanger works well. This jacket weighs around 5 pounds, so it's very heavy. You need the padded, strong, stable hanger to help support this weight. Once on hangers, you can store in a garment bag. The garment bag must be a fabric garment bag, no plastic. The humidity and heat will make the suit sweat, and the plastic will cause feathers and glue and beads to sweat off the suit. Fabric garment bags and acid-free boxes will also help protect your suits from pests. You can store your suits in a dark, cool place in your home. If you have a dehumidifier, a closet works well as long as you can keep the dehumidifier very close. The goal is to have a stable temperature and humidity in the room. After your suit is on display, you can also do different things like add UV ray protective curtains as well as LED light bulbs. This will help the suit stay fresh and keep the color in the feathers. Things to avoid when storing your suit is direct sunlight, humidity, water, and pests. So you don't want to store your suit directly in a window unless the window is covered with UV ray protection, or on a porch that may have rain. You want to avoid places where bugs can easily get access to them as well. The greatest challenges to storing a Mardi Gras Indian suit is the size. They come in so many unconventional shapes and sizes, it makes it pretty hard. But once you find a stand or a garment bag that can fit your suit, it can become fairly easy. Suits are also very heavy, so you always want to make sure your suit is being hung or displayed on a mannequin or a rack that can support its weight. Hopefully the things that I have learned here at Historic New Orleans Collection can be used to help the entire community, artists, collectors, as well as other institutions who plan on adding Black masking suits to their collections. I would like to thank the Historic New Orleans Collection, the Decorative Arts Trust, and the Black masking community for helping me complete my internship and learn so much about this unique aspect of carnival culture. I would also like to give a special thanks to Chief Howard Miller for helping me complete my internship and teaching me so much about this unique culture.
Oh, thank you. And I hope that everybody learned something from that video. I know Loren learned so much throughout her internship project. And I learned a lot as well. Now we are open for questions and answers with, I will be fielding the questions and Loren will also be here to give some answers. Here's Loren, one question here from the chat. Oh, they're all coming in. Lots of people saying thank you, Loren, for all of your hard work and congratulations. For the chief suits, do you or HNOC need to have custom storage made? And ultimately, how many storage pieces were needed? Actually, I guess that's the question for me, but Loren, would you like to start?
Yeah, so yes, Chief Miller's suit is so large that it does have to have a custom storage system. Lydia pretty much handled all that, but we were able to ask Chief Miller questions about his suit and take very custom measurements and see exactly where his suit had pressure points at. So when storing it, we were able to alter and pretty much tailor the storage system around his suit. Lydia.
Yes, and so we have custom made a steel T-shaped or cross-shaped stand for the suit, for the jacket and the apron, that they will be stored vertically on there. And then the crown is currently stored vertically on the suit as well. But because feathers are so swoopy on the back of the crown, we are planning on laying it flat face down, so that the feathers can relax from the pressure of gravity. The challenge is that it's about 10 feet long, so we're trying to make a really big box and find our longest shelf to put it on. So chief suits certainly pose a big challenge in storage because of the size. Here's a question for you, Loren, from Dr. Chantel Brown. Would we refer to the people of this culture as Mardi Gras Indians or Black masking Indians? Is there a preferred term?
Yes, so it totally depends on the practitioner in this community. Some people like to be referred to as Mardi Gras Indians, but others and most like to be referred to as Black masking Indians, because Mardi Gras is just one day of the whole carnival season, and these Black masking Indians, they come out for different days and holidays during the whole carnival season, not just Mardi Gras Day. but some also like to be referred to as black masking maroons. So typically you would want to ask the actual Indian what they would like to be preferred to be called. Yes.
Yes. Lauren did a lot of community outreach during her internship, both working with Chief Miller and through the Mardi Gras Indian Council. And she learned that for every person she talked to, there's a different personal story to the history of the Black masking traditions. Let's see, Lauren, did you learn anything? Are there special considerations for caring for feathers?
Oh, yes. So typically when it comes to the feathers that you see on Black masking Indian suits, they're real feathers. So a lot of times they come from Africa. They're large ostrich plumes, or they're from turkeys or chickens. And with these ostrich plumes, they tend to lose the color really fast because they're dyed that way. So with these type of feathers, they have to receive minimum light. They can't be wet because the dye will run off of them. So that is the main goal with preserving these suits. It's pretty much keeping the feathers looking the way like the original way. So you want them to avoid sunlight, water, and along with a lot of the crowns being so heavy, the feathers will begin to droop. And typically some artists, some Black masking Indians, they can come back in and straighten their feathers out. But of course, for an institution, once it's in a collection, you don't want to do that. So pretty much like Lydia said, being able to give the suits a resting period and laying the feathers flat can really help preserve them as well.
Along those lines, we've received a question of what is the best way to clean sequins and gems sewed into a costume? They get so dusty.
Yeah, so to begin with, it's all about how you store your suit. So if you're storing it in that fabric acid-free garment bag, this will let it avoid getting dust. But it depends on what kind of sequence or fabric it is, or beading. You don't want to introduce anything new, so you wouldn't want to use something like alcohol to clean them off. But it is okay to go with like a light fabric or feather duster and kind of dust over your suit. But that's the thing, you have to give your suit a resting period and make sure you're keeping the area that it's in very neat and clean. So to prevent this, because if you can prevent it to begin with, you won't have to deal with it in the long run.
Yes, the goal is to prevent as much dust accumulation as possible. If there is considerable dust accumulation on a suit in a private collection or in a museum collection, first thing would be to call a conservator. And as in Lauren's guide, she learned the best before you even get to that point of calling a conservator. Hopefully you will have already had a conversation with the artist on their opinions on conservation, whether they would prefer that they themselves do any conservation work, that another member of the Black masking community do the conservation work, or a trained conservator. In the case of just cleaning sequins, a conservator would probably have a lot of Q-tips and just individually wipe each sequin or jewel with just clear water, or it might surprise you, but a lot of conservators like to use spit. There's saliva is a very good cleaner. Here we have a one question. What are some good sources for acid-free paper and cloth garments? Do you need to buy them from a museum supply company?
Well, some of these things you can find on Amazon. So Amazon does have acid-free garment bags that are cloth, but there's also another source. It's a website called Gaylord, and a lot of times museums and institutions, collections, they buy their acid-free paper from here. It's real affordable. They sell it in many different sizes and shapes. So if you need acid-free paper, that's a good place to go. But if you're just looking for a fabric garment bag, they're widely available on Amazon and at Walmart and different places like that.
Is there a particular kind of pest that attacks Black masking Indian suits? And what should be done if pests are seen on a suit?
Oh, yes. So a lot of times you'll see different things like moths, and I don't know what to call these little beetles. Lydia, do you know those little brown beetles? Those I don't know that, but sometimes they have like little brown beetles that you can find on them. Typically in the institution, depending on what part of the suit it is, you'll be able to freeze it. We have freezers. So the suit would be put into the freezer to pretty much freeze all the pests off. But once again, if you're storing your suit at home, you want this like to prevent this from even happening, from it getting to this point. So pretty much having different things like a dehumidifier and having that full through cloth garment bag will prevent pests from getting into your suit. But pretty much cold air, if you need to spray any type of pesticide or anything around it, you want it to be something that's non-toxic and chemical free. So those type of things you can use around the suit, but any strong chemicals or anything that's too wet, it may cause the suit to pretty much run or have beads and feathers fall off. You can also put mothballs around the suit. Of course, you don't want to have them directly on the suit because of the smell, but you can use mothballs as well.
Yes, thinking of storing it in people's homes. Adequate pest control is a must-have for these pieces. And a freezer or putting it in an anoxic environment, so an environment with no air to smother the bugs. Let's see, we have so many that are coming in, and I want to make sure that I'm asking them in a logical order. How often do Indians reuse their suits or parts of them?
So typically, once again, it depends on the Indian. So some people will keep their suits. If they're performers, if they're going to perform at a jazz festival, they'll use the suit that they kept for that year that they made. Some of them, they don't keep their suits. So a lot of them, they're breaking apart their whole suit, and what they're keeping from the suit may be the patchwork, or they're reusing the feathers on next year's suit. So it's very rare that you'll find in the Black masking community where someone is actually keeping a full suit intact from every year. So Chief Miller only, from what he told me, started keeping his suits maybe about 7 years ago. And of course, he's an elder, so now he has the space and the funding to be able to do that. But typically, suits aren't kept. So the things you see, the pieces you'll see a lot of times is like the large beadwork is kept, and they may put it on a children's suit or reuse it in one of their later suits. And they typically take the rest of the suit apart, and they may reuse the feathers, but typically they're not kept for long periods of time.
And we did discover some reused patches on Chief Miller's suit that we have in our collection, correct?
Yes. So he had maybe about 5 patches that he reused from suits that he had made previous years.
Mm-hmm. And then that child, he reuses patches for the children's suits.
Yes.
Because Miller has quite a cadre of children who walk with him, right?
Yes.
He helps them all make their suit.
Yeah, so pretty much he teaches the children to sew as well, but a lot of the children's suits, the patches on their suits are coming from older patches that Chief Miller had made himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have, I think, 2 more questions to tackle. A cataloging or archival question for Lydia, but I think that one was 2. Are there considerations for ensuring that the story depicted on each suit is preserved alongside the suit itself? I'm going to let Loren answer that about no?
We can do it together because I feel like you can get more into the technical aspect of it. But of course, when I spoke with Chief Miller, we got all the information about his suit directly from him, and we took those notes down. So it is all included in the catalog of the suit. But I think THNOC does like a great job going deeper because Lydia was actually able to find the picture from that suit. So she can talk more about the full technical process of like preserving the story.
Yes, as Loren said, the first step is to really sit down with the artist and talk through the suit as much as you can to ask, how is it made? How did they come up with this idea? What do they want the public to know about the suit? And to write it all down and to include it in the catalog record. Of course, you can't always get a grant to have an intern to study the suit with the maker for 12 months. That's a great way to do it. And then, yes, we have done some archival research trying to identify the image of the Zulu tramps that inspired the apron. We found one, it's not exactly a match. But everybody who looks at it says, I think I know that image. And even Chief Miller was like, oh, I based it off of a photograph, but I can't remember what it was. So the best way is really to get it straight from the artist itself. If you are acquiring Mardi Gras Indian suits, have a good relationship with the artist. Spend lots of time with the suit, with the artist to learn as much about it. Document. And then there's one last question for Loren that I've been saving. Loren, how do you think you will carry this experience into the future?
Oh, yes, this experience was so close to my heart and so culturally important to me. So I think moving forward in the future, I'll always be able to advocate for artists from New Orleans, Black artists coming out of these real closed cultures, because a lot of times people, other places in America and around the world, they have no information on them. It's only happening in New Orleans. And I want to be able to advocate and make sure that these stories are being told correctly and that people feel comfortable when selling or transitioning their pieces into institutions or galleries, that the correct story is being told. So in the future, I want to just be able to be a person that makes sure that these special stories that we only get in New Orleans move forward and being told the right way and are respectful.
Yes. Great. And then are there any other questions, stories, or feelings about the Black masking, preservation of Black masking suits out there? Anybody want to chime in or talk? If not, this has been such a wonderful experience for me working with Loren and working with Chief Miller. And I hope it's been a wonderful experience for Loren. We have learned so much. We have learned so much about what we don't know and so much about what we do know. And one last question for Loren. What was your field at THNOC?
Visual arts.
Visual arts. Yes. But she might maybe start getting into sewing some beads or becoming a baby doll or finding her own way into the masking world. So it has been a fantastic experience. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you guys so much.